Let's go! First review series of 2021! The Matrix was directed by the Wachowski sisters and stars Keanu Reeves, Lawrence Fishburne, a bunch of people. And in this film, it follows a hacker named Neo, and he's been searching for a couple years to find this known terrorist called Morpheus. When Morpheus finds him, he teaches Neo that he might be the chosen one destined to save the world, and Neo soon learns that the world he is not the real world, that robots have taken over the world, a bunch of crazy stuff. Robots are using humans for food, and there's this thing called the Matrix that is blocking everything out from, like, imagine this real world right here. I know it's very complicated to explain. Imagine this real world right here, but it's not our real world. Like, this is just a simulation in our minds, and in real life, we're being used for robot food. So, yeah. I know, it took a whole minute for me to explain just what the premise of this movie is, because it does have a very unique premise, and the premise is very good in my opinion, but it's just, I really went up here saying, yeah, it'll be easy to talk about this, and then it's not easy. But anyways, yes, hello everybody, my name is Zachary Movie Chat, and last night I finally watched the film The Matrix, The Amazing Matrix. Yeah, I love this movie. It's so good. But before I give you my thoughts, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, comment down below. What do you think of The Matrix? This is my first review series of 2021. I'm planning on doing a review series on this franchise and the franchise of Mission Impossible, doing a review series on The Matrix and of Mission Impossible. So I watched the first Matrix last night. Give me your thoughts down below. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell so you never miss another video. And here we go into my thoughts on The Matrix. Wow, such a good film. And it's not just the premise that drives this film. There is a lot of things that drive this film to greatness. A lot of things. Let's start talking about this premise, and obviously, there's spoiler in the title, spoiler review in the title. So, obviously, I already spoiled a little bit because I saw the trailer for this film, and I don't remember it giving away this certain premise, and that's why I was so pleasantly surprised. I was sitting back like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have an action movie with a hacker and a terrorist fighting bad guys. But no, it seems so much more, and I was just unexpecting. Like, from the scene where we learn what's going on, I'm like, huh? Oh, it's getting interesting. I was just sitting back, and I was enjoying it because this premise is so good, and it explains a lot of things. I caught a few plot holes, but even those plot holes, it was explained later on in the film, and that's what I think was very, very good. And the way they handle it is also very good. The story is very excellently crafted. It's like this action film with a unique premise. It reminds me a lot of the film of Tenet, except Tenet was 1,012 times more complicated, and this action in this film was a lot better, and it reminds me of a lot of other things. Yeah, I liked Tenet, but this film, it's easier to wrap my head around. It's like those films that you get a very unique premise, and then you add it into an action movie, and in this case, it worked expertly well. Even more well than I think Tenet did. And it's not really fair to compare this film to Tenet, because this is excellent. But I really, really, really dug this premise. The action sequences are very well-rounded as well. When we got into our first action sequence was after they visited the Oracle, I was sitting back and I was like, well, we haven't had any action sequences before the beginning. But I didn't notice that. I was just sitting back and I'm like, yeah, we are needing explanation, and this explanation is really working. And then I'm sitting back, and when the action scene happened, I'm like, oh wait, we didn't have any action sequences, but I didn't care. This action is so phenomenal. And when the action happened, it was so great. It kept my eyes glued to the screen. Yeah, the action is so good. Now, sure, when this first action scene happened, it doesn't really seem like it has that much of a second act, but I'm fine with that. Films like Man of Steel, that doesn't really work if you don't have that much of a second act, but films like The Matrix, it really works when you have that much of a second act. And it was like this much. That's it. And it really, really ultimately worked, and that was something I really did like about this film. And the action was very well stylized as well. The cast was good. I'm a big fan of Lawrence Fishburne. He's done some very good movies. Speaking of Man of Steel, I just described him from that film, and he's in that film. Lawrence Fishburne is in that film, and he's in The Matrix. But I think he does a very excellent job in The Matrix. Very, very good job. The only person I don't really think did fantastic was Keanu. Yes, that's right. I feel like Keanu, some of his lines were cheesy. Now, that could be a writing problem, but the thing is, Keanu didn't really say his lines that well. And is it just me, or does my man have the reddest lips? Like, he looks like he's been making out with a lady with full-on lipstick, like crazy. I mean, he has the reddest lips. Like, it's so red. And that was kind of annoying. So, Keanu's character was a little bit annoying. But I'm not going to really let that hold it back for me, because as the film goes on, I just got used to that. And him in the action sequences, it's very good as well. So, the performances, the premise, the action, they're all great. What about our villains? Now, our villains, they do seem a little tiny bit underwhelmed. Like, they're just robots. But combined with this premise, it seems to make very, very excellent decisions in combining these villains in with our heroes. Because, you know, you don't have to get attached to the villains or know their backstory while they're doing it, because they're just AIs. And I'm glad that they didn't make a whole backstory of why the AIs did it. It's just like a 5-minute scene in the middle of the film that explains, and it really explains them all. And the villains are fine as well, and they make for some very good action sequences. Now, obviously, I would give this film an A+, if I felt emotionally attached to the characters, which I did. Even though there was a little too much characters, there's so many characters on the ship, we don't really get to give our characters any backstory. And Neo's character, it just starts out with, he's asleep, and then on this computer, it says, "Welcome to the Matrix," and then, like, 5 minutes later, he's already going on this journey. And I was fine with that, but we didn't really get any backstory for any of these characters. Just a little bit for Trinity's character, and a little bit for Morpheus's character. But other than that, all the characters didn't really get any backstory, and I'm completely fine with that. In fact, the only characters I really felt emotionally attached to was the two brothers, and, what's his name? The two brothers, mainly, are... I gotta think. There were way too many characters, it's making me think. The two brothers and Morpheus are probably the only characters I really cared about in this film. But it still was pretty sad to see that all this crew is just dying, and it makes me emotional seeing all these people who's doing good things die. But at the same time, you don't really get any backstory, so I couldn't be like, oh wow, A+ film. So, because I wasn't emotionally attached to the characters, or I didn't feel emotion, that would have been an A+ film, like 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield. It's just not an A+. I'll give it an A 9 out of 10 and 4 stars. Very good film, just not an A+. I really have to explain my scoring system really, really quick. I judge my films on how much I was entertained. Like, when my main score is an A-, because I generally like movies and TV shows. I generally like them, and I generally get entertained. Like, if I give it a B or lower, it's probably because they have some big problems, like The Witches or The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Both of those films, they generally had a lot of problems with them, but I enjoyed them, so those would both be B films. Films a little lower than that, like, I'd say Wonder Woman 1984. Those films, it's because they do have a lot of problems, but I had a little bit of fun with that, but sometimes not really. And, like, when I put them A-, if I give them, like, an A-, I generally really enjoyed them and didn't see that much problems. But if I give them, like, my A+ is that I feel emotionally attached to the story, like 10 Cloverfield Lane and Cloverfield and Endgame and all that stuff that leaves me thinking about the film. That's an A+. An A is something that is considerably better So that is why I gave The Matrix an A. It just really felt like I needed to clarify it because I have some unpopular opinions sitting back and going to give some films an A-. So I just wanted to clarify that that's my scoring system and that I'm not doing wrong things. Like, I'm not just saying that A- because the film is considerably a really great film. It's just how much I enjoyed it. But anyways, that was my Matrix review. Hopefully I will watch Matrix 2. I think Matrix Revolutions, or is that the last one? Matrix something or other. They're all on HBO Max. I will be checking them out. Stay tuned for future videos. I actually think I'm going to wait till the whole Clarice season is over to review it. And then, obviously, Superman Lois is out, and I might just wait for that, too, because the second episode's already out, and I haven't even seen the first one yet. So, yeah, just stay tuned for all those. Tom and Jerry came out yesterday. Tomorrow's video, or maybe I'll just film before I leave, I am going over to my grandparents', obviously. That was my second studio, as I call it. I'm going over there, and I'm just going over there tomorrow, or later today, so I can't watch Tom and Jerry today, maybe tomorrow, I don't know, but just stay tuned for my Tom and Jerry reviews, Scooby-Doo, the Sword and the Scoob review, obviously, doing that. Stay tuned for a bunch of videos. This has been the Matrix review. Matrix 4 comes out in December. Road to Matrix has started now. With that said, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, comment down below what do you think of the Matrix, and with that said, make sure to subscribe to join the Nerd Army. Peace out.